So you need a fresh start. You want to lose weight. You want to jumpstart the system, feeling good, feeling better about yourself. Is Whole30 a good way to jumpstart that? Should that be the option that you pick to jump into? It's a viral craze for a lot of people all over social media. Oftentimes you're seeing the massive weight loss or body transformation. Not too many people posting when they started it and then got off of it and then put a bunch of weight back on. So I wanted to weigh in as a doctor on what are the pros and the cons for this eating approach. I'm very anti-diet and program. I consider those a swear word around me. We always want to be looking into taking an approach that's going to allow us to eat differently for a lifetime so we can get off that wagon of dieting and programming. So let's take a look at Whole30. So Whole30 is an elimination form of a diet, and there's way worse diet recommendations out there than what this one's gonna walk you down, because at least it's focusing on real food, and you're not allowed to get away with diet foods. You're not allowed to get away with chemicals and toxins and fake foods just because they have low amounts of calories, right? And you're not allowed to get away with fried foods and toxic foods where you could, with being a vegetarian, you could have beer and pizza and still pass. See, so it does hold to pretty strict, and you're eliminating alcohols, sugars, grains, beans, interesting, dairy, and then any other additives from your diet, and you're doing it for 30 days. Now, they advertise this as a lifestyle change, but as you're kind of see, in my opinion, this is gonna be very restrictive to live the rest of your life, right? To be a human in today's world. So we kind of want to highlight some of the benefits of this and the good ideas of this, but then to turn it into a lifestyle, I'm going to give you some help on how you can make sure you don't fall flat or fall into the trap that a lot of people fall into, where is once they get off of this and add the foods back in, they end up gaining more weight than they lost. And then you end up a part of the 100-pound weight loss club. Not that you lost 100 pounds, but that you've lost 10 pounds 10 times. Lose it, put it on, lose it, put it on. You know that one? Yeah, a lot of us do. So unlike a lot of other diet and program recommendations, you're not tracking calories, which can be absolutely exhaustive, right? It does work for some people. You're not measuring portions. You're not counting points. You're just restricting specific foods, and you're doing it for 30 days. Now, for 30 days, though, the problem I have there is that it is a program then. It has a start date and an end date. Well, your life and your health and your healthy eating habits do not, for as long as you are breathing. So we need to figure out how to work this into your lifestyle so you can maintain healthy weights, you can maintain disease management, not inflame your system, enjoy some maybe unhealthy foods, but be able to respond and get your nutrients in. So let's recap what you can eat during this. So what you can eat on Whole30: meat, eggs, poultry, beef, pork, veal, lamb, chicken, turkey, duck, horse? Anyway, fish, seafood, anchovies, shrimp, calamari, scallops, crab. So watching out there, some of those are bottom feeders, and what ends up happening is that they get a lot of chemicals associated with them, heavy metals specifically, especially when you start talking about the shrimp, the calamari, the scallops. Love these foods, but definitely only would want to eat them in moderation because of that potential heavy metal contamination. Fruits, fresh fruits, dry fruits, veggies, all vegetables. We want to be careful there because a lot of fruits, like you could eat just a ton of pineapple or a ton of papaya or mango or grapes. A lot of sugar content going on there. And we haven't paid attention to the pesticides and herbicides going on with them. But fruits and vegetables are a good idea. Next, nuts, seeds, they're nut milks, they're nut butters, they're nut flours, but they do omit peanuts because they're considered a legume, and they're going to omit beans altogether as well. They do allow some fats: olive oils, coconut oils, ghee, avocado, tallow, lard, duck fat. Completely agree there. You're eliminating all your seed oils, which can be very, very, very toxic, worse than sugars in a lot of cases, at inflaming you. Now, what you're going to want to avoid during a Whole30 is sugars, artificial sweeteners. This also includes like sugar in the raw, honey, maple syrup, all the artificials that are super toxic. You're going to avoid alcohol, grains, wheats, corns, oats, rice, all those go. Legumes though too. So all of your beans, even though they have a lot of nutritious impact on them, they can, for some people, irritate the gut. It's not very common, but there's a lot of minerals you're missing out on, like magnesium is a big one that comes through beans. Soy, all soy products, totally cool with that because they're so genetically modified. They also eliminate dairy, but that does include goat along with the cow, sheep's goes as well. Yogurts, cheeses, ice creams, that's a tough one if you live in America, especially, or where you live when there's a lot of access to dairy. And then processed additives, which I'm totally cool with, carrageenan, MSGs, sulfites. So there's some things that I really agree with as far as eliminating the chemicals. The whole point here is you want to eat real food, right? But they do limit it some and they allow a little bit. So is it a good idea? Well, here's some of the cons with it. So some of the pros, you're eating real food, right? It's cutting it out. You're definitely going to see a shift in your health. You are eliminating a lot of chemicals going on. So I really like all that, okay? The con side of it, though, is that they really discourage you from recreating some of your favorite baked goods or snacks, even if it's a Whole30 approved ingredient. So if you wanted to make cauliflower pizza, for example, because you're like my wife and you're a massive pizza lover, but you know you can't have wheat, what do you do then? Or you're like myself and the kids, we like to enjoy pancakes every once in a while, so you want to make paleo pancakes. But all that stuff must be avoided on Whole30 because it's got to be whole-based food, which whole-based food is going to be more nutritious, but you're also a human being. So it really restricts you. That's why the problem with this is the sustainability. You know, you can't have a cheat meal on it. You're encouraged to strictly stick to those guidelines. And if you slip up, the founders even say you should start all the way back over at zero. Very discouraging. Now, 2 days in a row slipping up, that's a bad habit. One day, I mean, we just have events. We have get-togethers. You got to learn how can you be a human. You know, I got vacations or I got a birthday or I got something coming up once a month at least. So it's hard to carve that period of time out, although it's very good for a lot of people. Sustainability is the massive problem. So what do we do with this? I think we eat the fish, leave the bones. Eat the fish, leave the bones. Good concept for a lot of diets and programs out there. And I start to lump it into what do human beings need, okay? In my book, Livingood Daily, you can get a free copy of that in the description. I break down the 5 C's of nutrition. It does not matter which diet plan you pick or which program you want to be on. You have to follow these as a human being in order to sustain health, okay? Number 1 is curbing the amount and cutting out the amount of sugar that you have, okay? You can't overdo sugar. It doesn't matter if you're a vegetarian or if you're on Whole30. So that's where you really got to be careful of those fruits. Just overdoing way too many of those isn't going to put most of us in a good scenario because we have too much diabetes, too much heart disease, too much cholesterol, too much of those problems already, too much belly fat. So cutting down the sugar, always a good idea, okay? Then we want to crank up the fat. As a human being, every cell in your body has fat around it. So regardless of what meal plan you pick, you still have to have fat involved to produce the fat. Your body needs that to burn the fat. Your brain is made up of 60 to 70% fat. So we need healthy fats going in also to control our inflammation. Then it's caring about nutrients. Where are the nutrients going to come from your meals? Because you could be cutting out tons of calories, but not getting any nutrients. You could be eating a vegetarian lifestyle, but not getting any nutrients. You could be eating whole foods, but not getting enough nutrition. So we've got to care about nutrients. That's the vegetables, juicing, greens powders, protein powders, to making sure we're getting nutrients in just in a convenient way. Then we clean up the toxins. And most of these come from the meats that we eat. So if you're doing a carnivore diet, you can be eating a ton of meat, but it might be processed meat full of additives, or the cow was injected with hormones and having antibiotics in it. So we've got to be careful of the quality of the meat specifically. And if you're doing something like Whole30, you want that meat to be clean so you're not getting the chemical additives or having, a hot dog because it was approved. And we also want to make sure the vegetables, if we're being encouraged to eat a lot of those, that we understand that there's a lot of them that come with a lot of pesticides sprayed on them, knowing with my Clean 15 Dirty Dozen list, which of them you need to buy organic and which ones you can get away with and save money and not have to do that. So there's shopping videos on this channel to help you through that. Finally, curbing consumption. We can't overconsume, no matter if it's fruit or carbohydrates or meat or vegetables. Like, we can't eat too many of them or we'll have a calorie influx, not a deficit. And instead of just counting calories or points, using fasting is what is natural to a human being. Whether you were in the woods and you were hunting and gathering or you were farming, you had to work quite a bit in between the meals. And there were fewer and farther between. It wasn't the 7-Eleven down the street where you got all your snacks. So we really need to be encouraging some periods of time that we're going, giving our body a rest from eating and allowing it to burn up that fat Intermittent fasting, rotational fasting, fantastic ways to do it. Those are the 5 C's. I broke them all down in my book. It's what I used to restore my dad's health, get him off medications, save his life, and now it's done it for hundreds of thousands of other people. You can grab a free copy of that to break through and break free from the diet and the program sort of treadmill. If you want to try Whole30, just watch out for some of those warning signs that I talked to you about, and we got to be thinking longer term. So I always encourage people, don't dive in full on if it's not something that's going to be sustainable a year from now. You can dabble and you can experiment and you can try some things, but remember the concept of eating the fish, leaving the bones, and making habits long term. Check out a book to help you there. And to help you with point number 5 of curbing consumption, here's 4 easy steps to get you started on rotational fasting today. Check it out.